Chapter 3. Fear is just a word. I stood at the ocean line, where the water was just tapping my feet. I stared off far into the ocean. I would dive in, but no, I won't go in because of my fear of it. I never learned how to swim. My father never had time to teach me, nor did my mother. I heard stories about it from my older brother. He always said he would teach me when I was younger, but just prioritized my schooling. Yes, I was homeschooled. That's a story for later. I reached down and untied my shoes and took them off, placing them a little bit away from the water. Then I pulled off my long brown trench coat and folded it up next to the shoes. I gazed over the water, still a bit afraid. I walked back over and started to walk in. Once I got up to my kneecaps, I stood and shivered as the moonlight grew on the water as it raised in the voided sky. I took a breath and calmed down and got on all fours. The water was freezing, but I didn't feel any fear. It was strangely calming. I turned and laid on my back, floating on the water. It only took a second for me to get the hang of that, at least. The water rushed past my ears as my clothing floated a bit. The world was calm and quiet for once. A little too quiet. My body did the fake fall thing, and I started to squirm back to my feet before falling back into the water. The rest of the water splashed up on my face, making my hair go all in front of my one good eye. I was looking at the moon, then back down at the water. I looked like a child that's been missing for years and just got out of the worst arc ever. The water was calm now. No waves, no ripples in the water. It looked like a mirror. I looked back at the city. Wait, where's the city? I stood up in a panic and looked around, soaking wet. I moved the hair out to the side of my head. This is when I wish I had both eyes to see. As I stood up, the water seemed to be shallower. This time, it only went to my ankles. My socks were definitely wet. Great. I started to walk around a little bit. Hello? I said, my voice cracking. I winced at that. Hello? I shouted stronger this time. My voice sounded normal. Anyone there? A gushing sound came from behind me. I darted my head over my shoulder to look at what it was. Water filled the room from a pipe. I stared it down for a second before realizing it was just the worst to come. I turned back around and started to make a run for it, trying to get as far as I could before the pipe burst with a big gust of water. I tried to steady my breathing. I only remember one time I was put in a situation with water. This turned out okay. I was safe from drowning! A big echoing sound went through the room. No. I looked over my shoulder, still running. A big wave was coming closer and closer, the water roaring as it crept closer. Help! I screamed as I fell into the water. Help, anyone, please! I started to whine and cry for assistance. The roaring was louder this time. I glanced up once more as the water was about to cave in on top of me. Tears streamed from my left eye. I quaked with fear. The water engulfed me as I got swirled up into a massive wave. I started to try to move my arms and swim out of it, but that only got me swirled around inside of it more. The voided room was still the same, I think. I couldn't tell if I was, or still am, in the voided room anymore, or not. I just saw water everywhere I looked. My breath started to feel suffocating. My head throbbed. The bandage stuck to my head, probably because of how tight Tommy put it. That must be why it hurt so bad. Water rushed past my ears once more as I got thrown out of the wave. The floor was still lined with water. I coughed it out some as I landed on the floor again. It seemed to have gained more water. I could presume that was by the wave. My throat began to hurt after I coughed up all that water. The coldness in the room finally got to my skin. I sat up on my legs, hugging myself, rubbing my arms, trying to stay warm. Tommy, this isn't funny. You can stop now, I yelled. Nothing came in response. Okay, guys, very funny. you got me. That's the best of water. Can I just get out now, please? Nothing. I stood up and glanced around the room. I was still in the same thing. I hate this. WILBUR, a voice said. WILBUR. I shook my head and pulled at my hair. Tommy, Toms, I want to leave now. My breathing patterns started to speed up, the water level rising at the same time. The voice said again. I stopped pulling at my hair, but I kept my hands in my hair as I looked up as a woman met my eyes. She was on a white platform and her hand was extended out for me. I looked into her eyes, a soft green color. Without even knowing, I reached out for her hand with my right hand as she helped me up onto the platform. I pulled both of my hands around myself again. I looked up and I more to study her. She had long red hair and pale skin. Freckles went along one side of her face to the other. She wore a white and blue dress. The blue softly fitted into the white towards the top of the dress. She had on rich brown boots that had to be with a 5-inch heel on the back. Her hands were on her hips as she had a sassy little sway, back and forth, she continued to say. My vision went black. Then I opened my eyes to see the room. Did I never leave the room? The bandage was still on me. I looked at my watch. It was the next day, 3:51. Again, it was off by 1 minute. What was that dream? I rubbed the back of my head and sat up. A knock came to the door. I'm up, you can come in. A man with bright blonde hair in a green robe walked in, his hair tied back so it lay just above his shoulder blade length. He had very pale skin, more paler than mine, surprisingly.
How you feeling?
The man asked. I'm alright. How have you been?
But now that you're home, what's stop by? You just got picked around bloody good.
That's what I said! I crossed my arms and sighed.
What did you dream about last night?
The man asked once more, walking in and sitting at my bedside. He had a little bit of stubble on his chin, and his eyes were bright green.
If you tell me, I'll let you get out of bed with.
Oh, right. I looked at him. The man was the closest thing I had to a father I could get. Now that I'm in America, at least. He adopted me and Tommy when we first got here. He saw us struggling, and we just talked and got to know each other from there. Soon enough, he became our father. So, after about 30 minutes talking about the dream, we went out and had a breakfast. Afterwards, I was about to go to work when the man started another conversation.
Abel?
He asked. Hi, Phil. Dad. I keep forgetting I can't really call him Phil or Philza anymore.
Be back by 8 p.m. We'll spend some time with you. Also, Tommy told me your head should be fine now.
I unwrapped the bandage and blinked a few times before looking around and back at Phil. Why 8? Why not 8:30 like usual?
Well, I want to show you something important. It's like a main priority right now, son.
He tilted his head a bit. No. I'm free to hang out. I'm delighted that you want to spend some time with me. I smiled softly at him and went to work, wearing a pale sweater and jeans again.